TransLink has a variety of different bus routes: shuttles, locals, pseudo-BRTs, and express routes, where that category can be split into two sub-niches. The Standard Express is just that. Routes like the 555, 620, and 222 operate as full-on express routes that only stop at high-demand or important stops in their corridor. The other sub-niche is the Semi-Express. These are routes that are often labeled as expresses, but stop more frequently. The most notable semi-expresses in Vancouver are routes like the 503 between Langley Centre and Surrey Central, and the 430 between Metrotown and Richmond. They're both terrible. Both of these routes are mostly full-on local sections, with no real parts that feel like an express. But in this list of mediocre to bad semi-expresses is one hidden gem that feels special, convenient, and most importantly, actually fast. The 509 was first introduced as an east-west express in September 1990, with 2 AM and PM trips per day between Walnut Grove and Scott Road Station. It was later rerouted to Surrey Central in the early 2000s with an increase in service levels to address high demand in the morning. The 509 saw another adjustment in the early 2010s when Carville Exchange opened and gained access to the HOV lanes along with the 555 Portman Express, where it currently runs in its configuration today. The route currently has 6 trips in rush hour AM and PM periods, with 20 to 30 minute headways throughout. The vehicle roster operates out of the Surrey Transit Centre, with a diverse fleet operating through the years. The 2000s saw the MCI Classics and D40LFs run the service, but as of 2025, the 509 is currently served by the retiring D40 LFR, generic New Flyer XN40s, and nearly all the members of the Nova Bus LFS family, mainly the Nova Natural Gas, 2018 Nova Hybrids, and even the L drives are seen running from time to time. Now this route and the 222 have something in common, I guess, so the vehicle selection is quite intriguing. But what about the route path? What is it like? This is where the 509 becomes brilliant. The first part of the route in the PM period is on 104th Avenue from Guildford Exchange. This is pretty standard, like other semi-expresses, and follows sister 501 and twin 337. It then turns into a local service before turning onto the on-ramp. Wait, hold on. Is this route just a clone of 337? The 337 is a decent to good semi-express on its own merit, but not at all unique. Ho ho ho. This is where the route turns on its secret sauce. The 509 makes a right-hand turn and enters the highway section. This is the fastest and most entertaining part of the route, as it allows the buses to push themselves to their absolute limits. After this, the 509's only critical flaw shows its ugly head. And it's not really the route's fault, nor the only one to suffer from it. The Carville roundabout. This will probably be another rant for another time, but I mean, yeah. After Carville is the Walnut Grove section. It runs through the area until terminating at a suburban neighborhood at 88th Avenue and 216th Street. It runs this layout until around 6:50 in the evening, where trips would start again in the morning at 5:30 AM and run the opposite direction westbound until 8:15 in the morning. A common trait in semi-expresses is that they shadow other routes as that faster alternative. The other two semi-expresses from earlier, the 503 and 430, do exactly this. The 509 is no exception, as it shadows the 337, 501, 555, and 562. The difference here is that the route becomes fast enough to jump local services. Despite the traffic and construction on 104th, and the Carville roundabout being the Carville roundabout, a 501 and 509 trip leaving 5 minutes apart from each other on Bay 2 at Surrey Central often comes to the same outcome. The 509 trip always beats the 501 trip when it arrives at Carville. with even the 501 trip before getting jumped by the 509 as well. This allows for faster travel times for people using the corridor and an earlier arrival to Langley destinations. This route is also beneficial to 562 passengers up to Walnut Grove. Because the 509 operates as a pseudo-clone to the shuttle route, passengers don't have to worry about waiting for the service, which not only gets impacted by the Carmel roundabout as well, but also suffers from overcrowding near Trinity Western and similar traffic nightmares on Glover. The 509 is also great for 555 passengers, as it not only reduces overcrowding during rush hour trips, but also acts as a backup for when the Portman Bridge suffers its daily accidents. The other two semi-expresses don't have this luxury. It's legitimately faster to transfer multiple times between the Expo Line, R4, and Canada Line to get to Bridgeport or Richmond Brickhouse than riding the 430 at times, and with the roads not being in the best shape and crowding after Knight Street, more comfortable too. And with the construction of the SkyTrain extension to Langley Center, the 503 has slowed to a crawl, with traffic impacting the route to the point it's nearly unrideable. 503 riders might as well just ride the 502 instead, as the time is nearly negligible with it winning at times, especially with the 503's horrific headways. Oh, and the construction up to Aldergrove on Fraser Highway doesn't help matters either. The 509 is one, if not the only semi-express that actually feels like an express, with near perfect integration that makes it a good backup for when shit goes down on the 501, 555, and 337. Unfortunately, it's always the good routes that barely operate. Yeah, the 509 doesn't run outside of rush hour periods, which is a big oversight on TransLink's part. Ridership isn't the greatest, but neither is the 388, which saw a service increase in 2025. Since this change, the 388 has seen very little ridership on the Carvolth end. If the 388 should get a service increase in full service, the 509 should also be considered, and it wouldn't necessarily be in vain. The 509 would see better performance of its interesting routing and be effective in tricky situations. If the 501 gets backlogged on 96, take the 509. If one of the Dennises decides to take a vacation or the Portman Bridge has an accident on the 555, take the 509. And people heading downtown could just take the Expo Line without a transfer, adding in another bonus. If a train somehow derails on Glover leaving the 562 stranded, I think you get the point. With the 509's awkward terminus, it could also benefit from a future 7 extension to other key points in Langley, especially if some areas suffering from similar transit neglect. Thank you TransLink and CPKC. But back to the 509. In the next observation for the area, the 509 should be the next route that gets some kind of daily operation in both directions. The rush hour headways would remain the same, but for midday service, it should operate with 30-minute headways about halfway between 555 trips as an alternative in case traffic strikes on the Port Man until 315. To not cannibalize service on the 562, the 509 can be truncated to Carvolth during off-peak service. This route is truly one of the hidden gems in the semi-express niche, the only one that feels convenient, and one of the good 500 series routes. I mean seriously, apart from these routes here, service in Langley is mid to pitiful. But what do you think of the 509? Are there any other semi-express routes that are slept on for good or bad reasons? Feel free to sound off in the comments and like and subscribe for more transit content.